All systems go. Cleared for takeoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo. We're back on the Mayo Media Network. It's another NFL week. This week, week 7, coming off a huge week 6 at the Nation. We had a big one. We had Dalton, D-Dry, the Millie Maker winner. We interviewed him on Monday on our channel. We interviewed him here. We brought it over to our channel. If you guys want to go check it out, youtube.com/@ShipItNation. Hammer that like button on the way in. We're trying to get the fastest 100 likes ever. Already almost 65 walking in. So we appreciate that. Do us a favor there. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Hoop, title with me as always. Hoop, I'm going to bring you in first, man. What's going on? Another week, another time to get back at it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it on these shows, all our shows, like the momentum starting to build. Last week was a massive week 6 for our entire team. Started out week 7 with a big bang, title winning $80,000 in the Showdown streets. Our team absolutely dominated the MMA streets yesterday. And I always talk about the MMA product here, and it's something that, you know, when we first launched, we didn't have. And, you know, we brought on title, we brought on Big Marley, and man, it is, I think again, a little biased here, but take it for what it's worth. I think it's the best MMA product in the industry. It's turned into one of my most profitable sports. And when I say this, it's not like me just trying to sell the product. I literally look at nothing else besides the content that we have over at ShipItNation.com. Titles, core plays, the Slate plan, Big Marley's rankings, the tiered rankings, the fight break. I mean, just everything. And it's turned into one of my most profitable sports. Had a massive day yesterday. I mean, the guys absolutely nailed, I think, every fight. I mean, I take pretty big stands. And just based off reading their stuff, I was on the right side of every single fight. So thanks to Title and Marley for that. The product's phenomenal. NFL obviously has been absolutely crushing. Something big's going to happen today, boys. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. MMA, I mean, you're not even being biased. People can go look at the results. I remember last week, somebody said, oh, we know Hebrew won back. I was like, we showed it off. It was like 4 weeks in a row. The Hebrew was the start of that. He went back-to-back. Members won, GK Pfeiffer, and then it was like Marley took title. Just everybody's been winning at Hoop. You had another huge win, and then yesterday you went off again with many other members as well. So title, bring you in. MMA has been crushing. Thanks to Sheets as well, hopping on that show this week. That show is incredible every week. That's what I watch, and then just take it to the content. I had a decent day yesterday. Could have been better, but getting on this $6,900 underdog dude, Breeden or whatever this. Like, I don't even know who some of these guys are, but listening to you guys talk and then reading it through the content just makes perfect sense. So we'll get to the football, but Title, I'll bring you in first. What's going on, man? How you doing this week?
Yeah, some early days. Sunday, very early over here. Not even 7 a.m. yet. Yesterday, 7 a.m. fight time. But hey, early morning fights, early morning football. There's nothing better. Congrats to you, Hoop. Very close to the big boy day. But hey, you won't complain with what you got yesterday. Awesome fights. It was a little more boring card, I guess, than I wanted. But awesome finish. Breeden Junkyard Dog. But yeah, people here to talk learn about some MMA or learn about this NFL slate, not about MMA yesterday. But yeah, shout out to our man Sheets for hopping on that show. And it's a tough NFL slate, guys. I'm excited to talk through it, but only 10 games. Total is very, very low. It's an interesting one. I'm excited to talk through it. Really only one piece of news we're waiting on, DK Metcalf, and that's an afternoon game. We probably won't even get it at lock. So that's the only thing we're waiting on. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on this slate. It's a fun one.
Yeah, quick thoughts. Just one thing that you just brought up too is also definitely a late swap slate, right? You got really good games in the afternoon. People like the Geno and the Dobbs side. People like that KC LAC game, not as much, which we'll talk about later for the total that it has, but still it's a big boy game in the afternoon, the highest total, I think, on the slate. And then also Green Bay, Denver, a lot of love and for Wilson as well. Before we get into it though, and before I get Hoops, first thoughts on the slate, want to remind you guys, we're here on the Mayo Media Network. If you want to get in on the action at Ship It Nation, we're going to show off some of the stack rankings, things like that on this show, but it's all sports. So NFL, MLB, NBA, PGA, MMA, NHL, you can use code MAYO. Simple as that. Go over to Ship It Nation, use code MAYO, gets you 10% off. Last week, I'll pull it up quickly here. We had our guy Dalton talked about it. He won the $1 million. He said thank you to Ship It Nation. Some others, use the tidbits, and then he posts it in the Discord, the big 1 milli win. So shout out to Dalton. Congrats to him. Let's find another Millie Maker winner this week. Hoop. Title just talked about it. 10 games. I don't know about you, but I like if we could get a lower scoring slate. That's when I seem to have the best ones, is when it's the higher scoring slates and you need literally everything to be perfect. It could get a little bit tougher, but I feel like we can get different on this slate with just 10 games and possibly a lower scoring DFS slate. What's your first thoughts?
Well, I mean, if the game totals are any indication of the fantasy scores today, we're probably looking at a low scoring slate. I mean, the numbers in these games are just so low. Browns and Colts at a 40 and a half, Patriots, Bills 40 and a half, got a 38 and a half, 37 and a half, 37 and a half, 43 and a half, 44, 43, 45, 47. I mean, it's just a lot of low totals. Some of the best fantasy options, some of the best fantasy players are not a part of this slate because of the primetime games and buys and whatnot. So, it could very well be a low scoring slate. And when you start looking through the positions, through the games, I mean, there's not a lot of spends on the slate. So it makes it relatively interesting for fantasy purposes. Definitely a week where you can leave some money on the table for that reason. But yeah, we'll talk about it all. And I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to this one for many reasons, as you'll see as we kind of go through the games here.
Yeah, and I'll get to you here in a sec, Title. I just want to bring up, because people talked about it earlier, NBA is coming back. So it starts on Tuesday. Just a quick note while we're here on this channel, if you haven't subscribed yet, do so. All our shows are free. Hoop, Title, and myself recorded this. It's part of something you get when you sign up for Ship It Nation. Again, use code MAYO, but definitely want to remind you that starting next week on Wednesdays and Fridays, two of the bigger slates for NBA each week, because they don't compete with NFL and they don't like to, for good reasons, the ratings and stuff. There's big slates, though, big money. We will be on the Mayo Media Network with our shows. So we'll be on the Mayo Media Network Monday and Thursday for Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football. We'll be there on Wednesday and Friday for the NBA shows. Again, all free. And then, of course, this show every week at this time. We appreciate you guys joining us this morning and any other Sundays that you do so. But Hoop, we've got almost 150 likes. When we get to 200, we'll give away the first $100. I will let you know right now, though, one of the $100 giveaways at the end of the show, we've already seen a few come in. Whoever, if you sign up using code MAYO, we'll give away $100 to somebody who signs up. So if you're on the fence and you think only 10 people are going to sign up, you have a 1 in 10 chance of getting your money back and more. So we'll give away the early one. We'll give away our member $100 in the middle. We'll give away $100 to a new sign up at the end. And then if we get to 500 likes, which we always talk about, we'll give away another $100 as well. Title, your first thoughts on this slate before we hop into the first game. What are you thinking here with everything and how it's going to break down today?
Yeah, so a lot of it, like there's definitely studs you want to pay for at the wide receiver position. There's still a lot of good value running backs. Last week we talked about running back being one of the strongest weeks we've had at running back. I'm not sure it's quite as strong as last week, but it is pretty close. There's a lot of very good options kind of in that mid-tier range. But there's lower options as well with injuries in the running back room across the league if you want to take shots on there. But my initial thoughts, running back loaded. Quarterback, majority of my stacks, I think, are going to be cheaper quarterbacks, puke stacks, which sound gross. But, that's my initial thought there. Tight end, outside of Kelsey and Andrews, it's always a position you really look to save. I think Kelsey and Andrews are interesting, though. But a lot of my lineups will be punting tight ends and stuff. So my initial thoughts is wide receiver is a position that at least one, maybe two spots a lot of people will be paying up for with some value at tight end, quarterback, and running back.
Yeah, I'll talk on that in a second. I got a mini rant, but won't be too long. I think it's important for a slate like this. Shout out to Beetlebane. He did win some of the cash last week. He got the money. Hoopster was all over it this week getting those payouts done, so appreciate that. Sean says, let's fucking go. Click that like button. We love to see that. And then there was one more, just to Tweezy's note. We still have other shows for NBA, any slate 3 or more. And for the first week, we're going to do everything, even the 2-game slates. We'll do them early enough so you guys can still get some details in the action, get into the Discord, get in after that. So members will have all the access up to lock, but we will have shows for all the major NBA slates, 3 games and more. Week 1, we'll even do the 2-gamers. Those will just be on our channel at Ship It Nation. Go over there when we do get to 4,000 subscribers, and we're close. I think we're only 200 away. So today would help us. If you go over there, youtube.com/@ShipItNation, click subscribe. It's free to do so. All of our shows are free. And when we get to 4,000, we're giving away a 6-month bundle, which will cover you for NBA and more. It'll be a lot of fun getting that one. But Hoop, we're going to start with the first game. Before we do, I just want to say one thing, and you can chime in on this. The expensive quarterback conversation. Everyone knows. We'll show our stack rankings later. Those that want to see a tease We'll show it. Everybody knows that, this season quarterbacks are priced down. I just don't know if everybody's adapting. That was going to be my mini rant. People say, "Oh, but if this is Josh Allen day and he puts up 35, you're going to need him." Like it's not even true. Like someone could put up 29 at 5,400 and your Josh Allen might be dead. And so that's why I bring this up. Last season, DraftKings had cheap tight ends for one of the first times that you found guys at $3,500 that could get 2 touchdowns. The field didn't adapt. We saw more 2 tight end lineups hitting. We saw more people using those lineups to bolster themselves up, and especially in the higher dollar, smaller field. This year, I think it's the quarterbacks, man. I think people aren't adapting. That there is legitimate quarterbacks that can put up 25 to 30 from 5K to 6K, and it's been happening. That makes it tough because what's more likely to happen? Cooper Kupp puts up 30 plus again, or Josh Allen puts up 35 and you get everything else right with it. That's how I think of it. But I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
I want to get your take on the expensive quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think it's a good talking point. I did want to touch on that as well. Now, the thing with this week is the expensive quarterbacks aren't getting ownership. All right. And again, the cheap quarterbacks are definitely getting the job done. Part of the reason they've been getting the job done is because the expensive ones haven't been getting the job done. Like Josh Allen hasn't had these 40 fantasy point games. Mahomes and the Chiefs that we talk about all the time, they're fine just going and winning these nasty type games. I think this might be the first week where people fully embrace that and just avoid the top end guys. So you're looking at single digits ownerships on guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, who, if they get back to that form, could dust the slate. So I see both sides of it. I agree with your point that, I don't think the field has adapted to it yet, but based on ownership this week, it looks like people are adapting to it because the ownership on Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson is super cheap on a potentially low scoring slate. I have some interest there, and we'll talk about it when we get to those games. But, I agree with your point, but I do think this could be the first week where we really do see that ownership discrepancy for those top end guys.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And the title, I'm going to ask you the same question in a second, because my other thing is this is the rant in the Discord last night. I said I would save it for today, but the extra piece was, Mahomes today. You pair him up with Kelsey. That's fair. Like, that makes sense. I actually like the Lamar side if I'm picking one of them, and that's in my slate plan on the site. But just to say it, Mahomes, Kelsey makes sense. If you want to put a Rice or somebody like that in there in the middle, or our guy Hamwich said a little Tamboism, said the sky is the limit for Sky Moore today. I said, okay, settle down, big guy. But just to say it, my thing is, again, you need to get Mahomes right. You need to get whoever you put with him right. Whatever you're doing with that game, the rest of the lineup right. So you probably need to dedicate a lot of your lineups towards that. And then you need a bunch of those 5K guys to fail. You need almost all of them to not come through, because they're pretty obvious where to go with it, and you can make more mistakes for the cheaper options. So I do think you nailed the ownership part, though. That's definitely the case today, but I do think sometimes it is just you have to adapt to that. Plus running backs, you kind of need what fits in there. So Title, give us your thoughts on the same one. We're at the 15-minute mark, and then we'll dive into the games like we always do. Just 10 games today. Oh, he went full hoop on us.
Yes, I did. Yes,
at least the internet's working.
Yeah, we're good on that today. Don't have to worry about that. But no, I think a lot of it's slate by slate basis. But today, how I'm taking, at least why I'm preferring a lot of it, I will have some more expensive quarterbacks as well, but I'm not playing all of them today. I do have a lot of cheap ones I'm interested in, but that 3K wide receiver range is just so much worse than that 5K wide receiver range for me. So that $2,000 goes so far. The Terry McLaurin's, the Hollywood Browns, the Tyler Lockett's compared to the Darius Slayton's, Wendell Robinson's, which are like two of the better values, I guess, in that 3K range. I just feel so much better at mid-tier and upper-tier receiver. Cooper Kupp's, Diggs, putting up 35, 40 where you need them. Whereas, yeah, these guys up top, like you said, Allen puts up 32, Mahomes puts up 30 or whatever. Baker gets you 20, Russ gets you 20, whatever it may be. That still could be enough for those 20s cheaper quarterbacks to be on the optimal, or depending what the other skill position players do and if the punts don't get there and stuff. So that's my thoughts. And also, when totals are all this low, like, I'm not expecting any of these monster quarterbacks to go up there and put 35 up today. Can it happen? Sure. But it's way more likely if the totals are 55, 60, stuff like that. Then I'd be more inclined to just jam a quarterback. But yeah, happy birthday to you, Jay Steele. I was the first one.
Nice.
Happy birthday.
You always get it, but shout out to Jay Steele, just an incredible part of the SHIPIT Nation community. Always been around. I've talked with him plenty well before we even got this thing rolling. Just a great dude, always trying to get better at the game. He actually posted a testimonial. You can go see these for free. Go to shipitnation.com, go under the about links here, and you can find the testimonials. Our guy Marty winning people all the money in college football again this weekend. TGHH in our Discord has won like back-to-back slates. He shipped the 333 on FanDuel yesterday for a bunch more. So you guys can always go check these things out anytime you want to see them, but we'll take it away from there for now. Let's get to this first game, Hoop, as I fix things up here. We'll talk through it, and happy birthday to Jay Sizzle, our guy. Let's talk about it, Hoop.
Yeah, I gotta call out our guy Jay Steele though real quick, because he said all he wants is a shout out for his birthday, but there's a previous comment that indicates something else here. He's looking for that.
Both?
He's like,
why not both?
Correct. Yeah. So you got the shout out. Now go get the second part of this. Go get the Millie win.
Yeah, it's a great dude. I would love to see it. If it's not me, it's not someone else, I'd love to see Jay Steele get the job done. Let's talk about it, Hoop. Desmond Ridder. I'll give a teaser away. Desmond Ridder, the very bottom of our stack rankings this week after crushing everything else. I guess he moved up a couple spots with this early morning update, but who's up the board? Baker Mayfield, he was up the board all week. Thoughts on this game in general, and then any guys that you'd like to play within this spot?
Yeah, it's one of these. I guess a lot of these games are going to be the low total game. It's in at 37.5. I know the Falcons did get the job done for our guy D-Dry last week, part of the $1 million team. But I just have a hard time going here. I do respect the Buccaneers defense. The team total for the Falcons is low. I don't really see myself coming here all that often. I think there's just better plays at every position. I like guys over Robinson. I like guys over London, obviously. And then the tight ends. I mean, I guess if going anywhere with Atlanta would be the tight ends. Pitts or Smith would be guys you could play. I think a reason why a lot of people, not a lot of people, but a lot of these projection systems and whatnot are liking the Buccaneers is because you just have clear plays with Baker. I mean, it's Mike Evans, it's Godwin, and even Otten. I don't know how much of that I'll get to today. I think I'm going to be going a little bit of a different direction in most of my teams at quarterback, at wide receiver, and even tight end. So this game, I'll have like little to none of this game.
Yeah, I had some early week Baker stacks. Mayo and I were messing around with them too, talking on the show and stuff, but just in general, not something that I ended up getting a bunch of. And this is good too, Ben. I appreciate this. If you guys, we go game by game. So if you want to ask questions about the game, we're going to get to your question later on and probably talk about it. But if you ask one that's relative to the game we're on, it's much more likely to get answered at the time because it's relevant to this spot. So Tyler, you could kind of start with this one and then just take it into your thoughts on this game as well.
Well, I mean, it leads into it. Yeah, I get no one wanting to play Baker. I'm going to be playing more than I want to play with Baker. It kind of just starts with my cheap quarterbacks this week. Like I'm going to be mixing and matching, and kind of to Hoop's point, what makes me like Baker a little more than some of these other guys is if I'm playing Baker, it's either going to be Mike Evans or it's going to be Chris Godwin. I don't need to be thinking and all of that stuff. Evans has the upside. Godwin a solid price too. Don't like Kate Otten. Sure, he's on the field all the time. He's getting his cardio in. So in Baker stacks in the millie, I'll throw him in. It is not a fun click by any means. But yeah, Mike Evans, Godwin, Baker. I will be playing. Baker's very cheap. Evans a little more expensive in that kind of, I wouldn't say dead range, but there's Cups, Diggs of the world up above, or it's that 5K range, which is loaded. So, yeah, I'm going to be playing some Baker stacks. Atlanta pass funnel team, stout against the run. Rashad White has had no space to move, so I think they got to drop back a little more, which kind of goes to Ben's comments. It is gross clicking Baker's name, no doubt about that, though. As far as the Ridder side, no Ridder. If he's in the Millie Maker winner, it's not going to be me. Hope it's someone at Ship It Nation. As far as anybody else in this, Kyle Pitts and Jonnu, just that tight end position. You want to punt, you want to get different. I think I prefer Pitts. Yeah, there you go. Pitts and Jonnu right there. Because of the position, because I'll be playing more of the Bucs than I want, I think those two, they are my favorite plays in this game and a whole lot of most of. But I think you can play a Mike Evans, Baker single stack and not run it back at all and be just fine on a slate like this too.
Yeah, we just hit the 200 likes, so I'll give a quick take here, Hoop, and you can look up the first random winner. TJH jumped in, by the way, started with a free month. Now jumped in the community and shipped twice in CFB, which isn't even an official offering. Yeah. Our guy Marty, who we just talked about on the testimonials page, he helps out, puts up a sheet every day. He gets me to pin it. The members hop in, and it's just an added bonus of the community. We have that for tennis. We have it for soccer. We're looking to add it for others. So just little things like that are just the added bonuses. I don't hate this secondary. If you just want a unique secondary, it's fine to go there. And Nades is the DVP king. He loves this. It did not work out for Logan Thomas in this spot last week, but if you want to go K-Dot and probably just bet a touchdown, though, just bet the anytime touchdown, put some money on it, make it that way. Hoopster, I'll flip it to you. Anything you want
I'll mention this too.
Go ahead.
I compared to his low ownership at a stacked running back position, he's not getting much at all. So in the larger field stuff, because I'll have some Baker, I'll include him in some stacks. But just as a one-off or stuff, like there's so many other better running back plays in that range.
Yeah, bad internet guy risked bad internet mojo chatter. That's pretty risky over there, Title.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
I know. And Newens is right. Actually, I'm glad he brought that up because at 5,100, had a little debate this week on the Mayo show, actually on Friday, about Rachaad White and Ford. And I said I leaned on this side. I do have some more Ford thoughts when we get there later, but good call out and good one to bring up. Hoop, what do you got?
In terms of the winner, we got it right here. It's going to be our guy, Primo Fins, all right? Dedicated to the game, man. Went out, got hung over at a Halloween party, but set his alarm, made sure he's with us this morning. So that's, we appreciate that sort of support for sure. I mean, the hangover, getting up early, that's dedication. We appreciate it. And you're the first winner today.
Yeah, Primo knows the mantra. Nobody cares about that hangover. Work hard, get in the zone, get in here, get on the show. That's perfect.
I told you, hey, last week I was feeling rough. I told you guys. I said I was not feeling good. I can't remember what I did Saturday night. Did something, but I was with G Rising. How could I forget? I was with G Rising.
That's how you can forget.
Yeah, exactly. When you're with G Rising, you tend to forget about things, and it turned out to be a good day for the community and myself. So not hungover today. Unfortunately, probably because it typically has worked out like that. Even the Millie win, I was feeling really rough that night before, and that morning won the Millie. So maybe I need to start drinking more on Saturday nights.
Yeah, definitely could be a thing. And Ron says I'll add one more piece to that one, then we'll go to Washington and the Giants. I'll come to you first, Hoop. But just a note here is the talk all week, and I posted in the tidbits over on Twitter. It said basically like his usage has stayed the same. He's had rough matchups. He's had to play, and it's not like Atlanta is much better, but then you flip it and go, look, who has Atlanta really faced? Not many. Now you double down on that because now they're only facing Rachaad White. It's not some serious top of the line running back here, but opportunity can meet matchup in some cases. And we could see it where something breaks there and it could be him coming through at 5,100. So I don't hate that call out. Hoop. Let's talk about Washington and the Giants. I think there's a little Howell love. I think there's a lot of secondary stack love. And there's definitely Wan'Dale Robinson at 3,800. People are definitely going there. So talk to me about this game. What do you got with this one?
Yeah, in terms of Wan'Dale, I mean, we've kind of been ahead of the curve on him. We talked about it when it was a showdown slate. I remember the three of us doing the show and talking about it. Like, this guy was one of their main guys end of last season. He came back from that injury. We anticipated them getting him involved, and that's been the case all season. Now, he hasn't had the monster performances because the Giants freaking suck. Like, the Giants are a bad team, and it's hard to do well when the rest of your team sucks. But they continue to actively get him the ball, 3,800. I'm good with that, and I'm good with nothing else on the Giants team. Like, I don't want any part of the Giants at all. No Tyrod. Someone asked on the Friday Cash show about Saquon. Like, if Saquon beats me today, cool. Like, I'll just shut down the old laptop and move on. Just Wan'Dale on the Giants side. I do have interest though in some of these Commanders guys. I think Howell is. I haven't decided if I'm going to play him. If I do, it'll be little amounts, but the reason I do kind of like him is because I like his pieces. I like Terry McLaurin today at 5,400, Curtis Samuel at 7K I like, and you can even throw Dotson in there, and then Logan Thomas too. So you have a bunch of options. On a slate like this, like that's valuable to me. Like when everything's looking nasty, when you look at the quarterback position, you can find clear pairings. Like I think that goes a long way. So I do have some interest in Howell. It won't be a ton. But I do anticipate playing him because I have interest in his pieces. So it's going to be the pass catchers here, Wan'Dale on the Giants side, and then these Commanders pass catchers with Howell. I'm fine with that. And then both defenses clearly in play today.
Yeah, glad you brought that last piece up. Definitely both defenses. I find myself landing on them too. On FanDuel, I keep landing on the Giants. On DraftKings, I keep landing on Washington. So I don't know if others are doing the same, but that definitely stood out. I like the secondaries here, Title. Like, I just think that, someone said like early onlys, can you play Hyatt? I think you play Hyatt's more of a risk. Slayton's the easy pivot. I still don't mind like the Samuel Wan'Dale or the Terry McLaurin Wan'Dale. If you land there, again, higher dollar, smaller field, I'm not as concerned. Those guys definitely rate out the best, project the best, but then you're going to say, okay, just play the pivot. Maybe, but someone said it too. This team can get beat by the deep balls. So go with Slayton and go with Hyatt. But again, you have to get him the deep ball. It's still Tyrod chucking it. So that's one part that goes with it as well. So definitely keep that in mind. Title, your thoughts on this game, Washington and the Giants?
Yeah, I'm on your side. For the people that mentioned Hyatt, I don't think it's the craziest play. Probably a better early only slate, but they've completely they got rid of Hodgins, like Campbell. They didn't get rid of them, but they started the year in the 3 wide receiver sets. It's Wendell Robinson, it's going to be Hyatt, and it's going to be Slate. And so Robinson looks to be the best play in the slot. Fits DraftKings scoring very well. 3,800. Again, this is what I'm talking about. He's, I think, one of the best 3K wide receiver options. Going to be mixing him in a little bit, but the game environment just isn't great. Like if you can get to the Terry McLaurin's, the Zay Flowers, the Tyler Lockett's, it just feels so much safer. But yeah, this price tag, I'll be playing some Wendell, be on the field a lot. Fitz DK scoring well. I'll disagree with Hoop a little bit. I'm going to be playing myself some Saquon. Man, the usage is back. People aren't spending, like Kenneth Walker is really as high as people want to go at running back or Jacobs or stuff like that. Spending a little more for Saquon. It's a solid matchup. And with Tyrod, like if they can establish it like they started to last week, got him going in the second half, he can get the ball 30, 35 times, I think, in this matchup. So I will be playing some Saquon. I like him as a spend-up contrarian running back. I like Brian Robinson on the other side, too, at 5,800. Obviously don't love the Saquon, Brian Robinson in the same game script, but yeah, man, Gibson has not looked great. Robinson's their hard-nosed running guy. If they're trailing, they'll get Gibson involved. 3-point favorites for the Commanders. Giants haven't been good against the run either. I'm most interested in the running game. I'm not going to really be going to both quarterbacks. Part of the reason I like some Saquon too, Giants D will be popular. Howell takes a lot of sacks. You get a little correlation there. I like the Saquon Giants. I like Wendell Robinson I mentioned. Outside of them, yeah, I'm not getting a Waller. I don't really love Slayton's fine, but I prefer Robinson. Brian Robinson on the Washington side. And then, yeah, Curtis Samuel or Terry McLaurin. Dotson, I guess you can add in there. I'll just be mixing and matching those guys, though. I'm not playing Howell, so probably max 1. And you said Commanders defense. Go to the other side of a little more popular defense. Tyrod Taylor, that makes a lot of sense to me as well.
Yeah, that's where just the way it landed on DraftKings. One thing you brought up on FanDuel, and I will agree with you on that as well, is that I landed on Barkley there a little more because he's much cheaper than Walker. Gets very expensive over on FanDuel. Still affordable, easy to fit in. I have him in builds. I'm just saying it is nice in some lineups when you land on the Giants to see that like Barkley is that last piece and you just have that natural correlation, not really forcing it or anything like that. Guys, almost at 250 likes. Let's keep it rolling. We already gave away the first $100. The second will be to a member. The last will be to someone who joins. I just checked. We have quite a few already hop in, but if you use code Mayo, you were on the fence. Now's the day to do it. Gets you 10% off. NBA's coming back on Tuesday, but we're going to be picking a winner from some of these new members we see signing up. A lot of monthlies getting in. Monthly, by the way, you can get in for just $62. That covers all 6 major sports, projections, ownership, the content, the education courses, all the stuff, tools, rankings, everything except you do need an optimizer. We have a partnership with the Solver. That's an optional add-on, but you guys can still get in there and just get that and bring it to your current optimizer if you have one as well. So keep that in mind. Hoop, going back to you here, we got Vegas and Chicago. Next up, Jacobs, obviously the popular piece here. Where are you at in this one? 38 total. We don't get many better totals in the morning, so it's going to stay this way for a little while until we get to the afternoon.
Yeah. Solid morning in terms of people coming over to the SHIPIT Nation community. So just wanted to shout out all those people that have hopped over just this morning since we've launched the show. I mean, again, not only have we had a lot of success recently, it's about the community, man. Like this community is very solid on limited issues. I mean, really like no issues. We talk about the Discord all the time where there's been no issues, but wanted to build that community feel. And we're really starting to see it a lot of just having each other's backs and, you know, picking people up. It's just a great spot to be, honestly, just absolutely love it. So yeah, thanks to everyone that signed up. The support's been overwhelming. You know, in terms of this game, the Raiders and the Bears, I mean, another just, man, 37.5. We got a lot of these totals. The Bears, you know, it's week 7 and it looks like they're saying, all right, our season's done. We'll see you at the NFL draft. Guys on their side that you can play, I think it starts and ends with Donta Foreman at 4,800, you know, should get a majority of the work. I don't want to play anyone else on this Bears team. I guess you could play the Bears defense if you wanted. We'll throw that into the mix. All these games with these, you know, low totals, you can definitely just throw in the defenses. So Bears defense, Foreman, that's it. On the Raiders side, I mean, Josh Jacobs continues to show up as just a phenomenal, value, phenomenal play. It's been this way all season, and he's played like absolute shit all season besides one game. Should be one of the better spots for him all year round. They want to establish it. They want to get him involved, but he's just has been able to. And I don't even know. It's probably not all his fault. I mean, it seems like anytime he touches the ball, someone is right in his face, tackling his ass immediately. So it's probably not all his fault. But again, this is going to be one of the better spots. He's going to get some ownership. I'll have him in my player pool, but it's just not an exciting play by any means. Devonta Adams, he has Brian Hoyer throwing the ball to him. Man, I don't know. I'm fine if you want to play Adams, but I think I just prefer the more stable options around him. We'll talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown, coming up in a couple of games. They're priced similarly on both sides. I just want Amon-Ra over him, to be honest with you. Even in a not great matchup, Amon-Ra, he's just so safe. So I think I prefer Amon-Ra over him. I'm fine if you want to play him. And then a cheap tight end, they want to go to this Michael Mayer guy, and he's been good. He gets open. He makes a solid move after he catches the ball. He's $2,700. He appears to be their tight end one, and rightfully so. Probably, one of my favorite plays in this game at 2,700 tight end, Mayer.
All right, well, we'll keep that in mind. Going back to the last game real quick, my guy BHJ says Slayton and Hyatt more. We talked about not being able to defend the deep plays, but I do like Ross's comment to go with that. Hyatt got the more snaps last week. Still think Slayton number one, but tough when the line is trash. That is definitely true. Our guy MYG fan, shout out to Dwayne. He's a homer. He admits it. He knows it. But he says, I have some shares of Wandale. I have to play some. But Hyatt is his homer play, but more than a fair stay away spot. He gets it. And then one last shout out, my guy Michael. The hangover gets the cash. I went to a concert last night. We love transparency and honesty. Listen to this one. Up till 4 a.m. and the dad bod doesn't bounce back like it used to. Let's get one today, nation. I love that comment. Definitely
me and Tambo know about that. Title will be there one day, but me and Tambo know all about that.
Right in the plums, man. You definitely feel that one here where he's coming from on that. Bunch more great comments. We appreciate you guys all joining in and getting in and letting us know. The chat always chimes in on the Discord, so we do appreciate that too. Title, go to you on this game, man. Vegas and Chicago. I will say one thing. Not sure if you were following along yesterday. Our guy Hamwich says that Badgett is going for 3. Nope, it's no problem. He can go for 350 and 3 here. Maybe even on the ground. So give me your thoughts on this game and then talk a little bit about the Chicago side as well.
Well, the Chicago side is very easy. I'm the same as Hoop. It's Foreman or it's pass. If you play a bunch of lineups, you want to go Bears D, Komet. Sure, I think Bears D is fine against Hoy. All these defenses are fine on this slate with no total above 47. But it's definitely just Foreman at that price as a starting running back or nothing on the Bears side. And as far as the Raiders, I'm going to be playing Brian Hoyer, Puke, all of that. I know, man. But it's very, very concentrated. We always say it's Devontae, it's Jacoby Myers, and it's Josh Jacobs. No one's going to – not nobody. Devontae's going to be low on with Hoyer back there as a spend up. I get it. He's complaining about not getting the ball. I have a feeling Hoyer's first read is always going to be Devontae today. 12, 13. There's just – you see the upside. It's Bears stink, 20 implied total, team total, which isn't terrible on this slate. Hoyer's cheap, makes you can allow you to get Devontae, spend up elsewhere. I'm going to be playing it. Yes, I get it. It's definitely gross. Jacoby Myers, I'm going to be mixing him in as well. We'll be low owned, get a clear pairing with Hoyer. I will say, though, I like Devontae and I like Jacoby Myers a lot more when I am playing Brian Hoyer. I think they're fine as a one-off, but I would just max one Raiders if I'm not playing the quarterback. Jacobs is going to be the piece most people go to, which is also why I like getting a little leverage on the passing game. But Jacobs is fine at 7-4. People are asking, does he get a downgrade with Hoyer and all that stuff? He can still catch passes out of the backfield. They're probably going to try and run the ball a little more. The Bears stink. They're favorites. Everything's lining up for him, but the line can't get any push. He runs into his lineman 1 yard downfield. There's no space for him, it feels like, too, which is so tilting, being team watch the game guy and being like, man, it's tough. Kenneth Walker chalk, this guy chalk. All the other chalk feels a little better to me. So, yeah, tournaments, I'm going to be overweight on this passing game with Jacoby and Devontae, and it feels gross playing a little Hoyer. Also, Mayer, I do like that call, though. Hoop, shout out to you last week. I need your gross vomit tight end play this week. It's Parham, it's Mayer. You've been spot on with these guys. I think it's interesting.
Yeah,
I think Mayer is better than Parham's the call of the year for sure. Not the call I'm saying, but I actually like the mayor call for DFS. Like this guy has.
Well, he said it last week too when I was like, no one's playing Mayer last week. This week I like Mayer. He's just a week ahead, Tambo. That's what I'm saying.
I'm a week ahead of you, bro. I'm 30 steps ahead. We see it all the time where you know people are so far ahead of you and like they can't catch up to what you're doing. Like that's how I am with the tight ends, man. Just steps ahead of you.
Well,
if Hamwich is ahead of us, Hamwich is going to win a lot of money today.
Oh, Hamwich is going to be retiring from SHIPIT Nation if he's ahead of us.
You got me to build it out though. Like on FanDuel, it was a little interesting. Like I just landed on it. It was all my favorite plays with a Badgett lineup. I did flip it. You could build it a different way too, but I was like, man, I'll do it for the brand, the Tambo brand we're trying to build up. It's THAM. I'll put it in the Mayo chat here. There we go. The Tambo brand, Tambo. The H is silent, but just keeping it in general. I do like the mayor call anyway this week. And if I'm not doing it, but power 2 title here, if you go just like you could literally go Hoyer, Adams, Michael Meyer, and just cut it off there. And then you don't even have to run it back. Just go with it if you want and move it from there. So
yeah, we're going to be losing. We're going to be hosting the double retirement party for title and Ham because they're on island.
I'll be right back at work if that's what happens.
It'll be opposite of retirement if I'm playing Hoyer and Baker. It might be on the streets, no internet anywhere.
It's gonna be the GIF. We'll have to get the GIF going of the guy walking in the room and looking around. No one's there. It's gonna be me and Tambo showing up to work on Monday, like looking around. Where'd everyone go?
Yeah, it's gonna be bad if that happens. The games don't get much better though. Let's go to this next one. Title. I'll stay with you on this one. We got Bills, Patriots. Got to a 40 finally, 40 point total here, man. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is the spot, like the Josh Allen, all of that talk. I think Hoop's going to play a lot more. If I'm spending up, we'll get to Lamar. I like Mahomes. There's just a couple others I like more, and I'm going to be spending a lot or down at quarterback most of my stacks. So don't love the quarterbacks really in this game. I love Diggs as a one-off, though, 8,900, totally fine up there. I prefer Kupp in a vacuum, though, if I can get that money. I don't know, man. The Patriots side. So Kendrick Bourne, if you're not another cheap wide receiver, 4,400, he just gets the job done, man. He's always open, good after the catch. Mac Jones looks at him in the slot a lot, so I think Bourne's fine. I don't love this game by any means, though. If you have none of this game, I think it's totally fine. If you want a James Cook or something, that's fine. Latavius Murray, people might ask about. Man, that's as large a field stuff as it gets. I'd say no to that. So really just Bourne, Diggs, James Cook, I guess, but I don't like this game.
Buffalo defense, 4,200 on this slate. It's price to pay, but I have seen in higher dollar, smaller fields where if you land there, it would be very unique to land in that spot. I've also heard people just say, forget it. The fact I don't love this game, again, too, also remember, I know you could put Josh Allen with other guys, but obviously Diggs is in a good spot. Diggs makes a lot of sense. I prefer it as a secondary because I don't want to pay 8,200 plus 8,900, even though people say, oh, but they go together. It's not necessarily true. Diggs can definitely have a 12 for 110-1 type game, crush, and that does not mean Josh Allen went off at 8,200. Now, if it all goes together, yes, you'll need it all, but that's kind of how you have to look at it. It's a kind of Mahomes type situation where you got to pay for both if you're going to do it and think that it's going to go that way. I think you can get away with just playing Diggs and whoever you want for the New England side, whether it's Bourne, if you want to take a real big gamble, Demario Douglas, 3K flat. He's down there. I heard some talks on him at the start of the week. He was questionable all week. I don't think anyone's going there. Devontae Parker at 3,400. You could get something from the other side, but I don't really love it. Hoop, you got anything in this game here? I know our guy Ham also liked Ramondre in this game just for opportunities alone.
Man, Ham doesn't like money.
Yeah, Ham either doesn't like money or is going to be super rich after today. It's going to be one of the two.
Hamrich.
Hamrich. I mean, it's not the best spot, obviously, for either offense, but Josh Allen, like under 5%, I have to take some. Like I can't resist. So I will have way more Josh Allen than the field. Well, not way more. I'll have more Josh Allen than the field. To Diggs, to some Gabe Davis maybe. I don't even mind this Hardy guy mixing him in, to be honest. That'll be like the random call today. Hardy scores like a touchdown. I think he did on the primetime slate.
You're jumping off the tight end train, Hoop. It's gonna go down.
I'll find out. Yeah, I'm gonna find the tight end. Don't worry. I'm gonna find the tight end for us. It might be a little more challenging today, but I'll throw one out there. But I gotta be in on some of this Bill stuff just because of the ownership. And then on the Patriots side, it's Kendrick Bourne, I think is fine. But man, like I get the stuff where, these cheap tight end or cheap wide quarterbacks make so much work, but there's not a lot that we need to make work today. Like we don't have Christian McCaffrey on the slate. Like we don't have a ton of spends. So like a Josh Allen going out and getting his standard 25 fantasy points could be huge today because we don't have a lot of those other spends on the slate. So I have to play some of this because of the ownership. Allen, Diggs, maybe some Gabe Davis, and then, you get Bourne on the other side, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it with Lamar when we get there, but I get where you're coming from. A 25 to 30 points could be enough, but I'm still leaning with what Title said earlier, the other angle of they're like the cheap running backs pretty much suck. The cheap wide receivers are not that great. Like I got more balanced builds than the stars and scrubs. And even later when we get to it, there's spots where people are going high-low with like a JSN and somebody else up high, Cup and JSN later on, when you could also get like a guy in this next game, Amari Cooper, with somebody else in the middle, like a Lockett, and you still end up with two dudes that can put up their 30s, and that could be where you get your 30s from on top of 20s at the quarterback from a 5K. But Title, anything else on this one? If not, take us into this next one. Cleveland, Indy. We're waiting on 350 likes. Just so you know, take a pause, go do it. Free, easy to get to the next giveaway. Title, Cleveland, Indy. What do you got?
I'm going to be playing some of this Cleveland side. Affordably priced pretty much across the board. I'm interested to hear what you're going to say with the Jerome Ford take. So we're still waiting on Kareem Hunt as well. They did call up Deion Jackson. It'll be if Kareem Hunt's out, I'm definitely going to boost Jerome Ford. Hunt got involved a lot more last week. It still was Ford's backfield, but much, much closer than I expected for how shortly they signed Kareem Hunt. I don't think Deion Jackson would have the same role. So I am monitoring this Kareem news. I like Ford either way, though, at the price at 5,100. He is going to be more popular than White, which is why we did talk about the White pivot, though. I'm going to be playing some Deshaun, though. So decent team total, sit of almost 23. They're in the dome. Fair price for Deshaun at 5,700. You know he can use his legs. Wide receiver one, Amari, 6,100. Elijah Moore, 4,200. Njoku, 3,400. Really all the pieces I need on the Browns. I think all are viable, and they're all cheap. Like I can double stack Watson, play Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs if I want, and still make a fine team. So with how their salary works, Deshaun's upside with his legs. Hey, one of these days he's going to go out there and put the old Deshaun performance out there too. In a dome right here. I like it, man. On a week, it's really, really gross. The Browns are one of my favorites stacks because of their pieces.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go with it too. So I'll say it now. But part of it, I was waiting on that. Anybody who saw the second the news came out, I was in the Discord. I have my last spot saved. Another just thing of the site. Who cares? In the slate plan, I had it saved, hoping that Deshaun was going to be in. He was the guy I was counting on. I really like Amari Cooper this week. I think Njoku is, I don't know what his lowest price ever was, but I mean, it's obviously probably been lower than this, but at 3,400, that'd be my tight end call of the slate. I don't even hate Elijah Moore. And then I was going to say, I like Ford better with Watson in, because now they do have to pay attention to Watson. So now it's not just going to be that. If it was PJ Walker, I think they just stack it and say, go ahead, Walker, beat us, see what you can do. Now Jerome Ford has opportunity. And even if you're not on this stack, I think you can do what we saw people get away with it very easily last year. I won a King of the Beach seat with it. Hubbard and Thielen. I think you can roll Ford and Cooper and just have those guys getting the targets. I also think one interesting thing, and I'm stacking this game, so you'll see other pieces, but just the ones where you don't have time to talk about every single play. But Jonathan Taylor is right in that middle range where all these other running backs are at this week. I could definitely see a way to speed it. Again, it makes sense for those lineups when I'm stacking. If I want to get Jonathan Taylor to speed up the game flow and now get some of our best games back in the Houston days with Deshaun Watson, we saw where he was coming from behind fantasy points games, I'm saying. So if we can get Taylor in the box once or twice early, then get Watson coming back the other way, that's how you could see this game. And I know it's just a 41-point total. We had this conversation about these Ritter games in Atlanta. We had Tua putting up, his team putting up 42 points, him getting 22, Ritter's team in Atlanta putting up like 16 and Ritter getting 29. Like you can have these spots where these guys come through. 5,700 for Deshaun Watson was the price, I believe. Hoop, your thoughts on this game? What do you got with this one?
Love the spot for, so many different reasons. The first thing, coming off a big win, obviously. They beat San Fran last week. Now they get their quarterback. This team wants, all teams for the most part want to win, but this team, I think, really wants to keep the momentum going. get their quarterback back. It's late in the week, so in terms of ownership, you don't need to worry about the spot. A lot of people have already locked in who they're playing and probably won't make these adjustments coming on to the Browns. Love this spot, man. In the dome, Watson's cheap. It's a potentially low-scoring slate where if Watson gets in on the ground once, like he's paying off his price tag in a big way. You have direct, clear guys that he's throwing it to. Amari Cooper, who's looked really good this season. I mean, Amari Cooper's looked great. He's battled the injuries, which he's always – has he ever not been battling an injury? I mean, I guess is the right way to put it. But he's looked good throughout it. Elijah Moore, I posted at our guy Nades, like the targets with Watson, 7.99 for Elijah Moore when Watson's in there. Njoku as a touchdown flyer, I like that call. I mean, that was going to kind of be my tight end call today. I think he gets the job done. I don't know what sort of ownership we're looking at, but and then, man, I'm hoping Hunt's out. I'm hoping he's out, and then we just get the full, smash situation with Jerome Ford, everyone. Just a really, really good spot. You can take a flyer on Donovan Peoples-Jones if you want a cheap wide receiver play. There's just a lot to like here on the Brown side. We get the news late in the week. People, like I said, they're already set on what they're doing for the most part. Can make the late adjustment and get onto this one. So very interested there. He doesn't deserve to have a picture on DraftKings. He freaking
I know
sucks.
It's not till later, but I can't believe that. Is that true? I don't look at that.
I hope it should be. I mean, he sucks, and he sucks, but I'm playing him this week, so I don't know if that's good or bad. And then on the Colts side, you don't need to run it back if you want to. Pittman's always a fine option. Don't mind the Jonathan Taylor call. I mean, there's a lot of ownership at running backs and be very consolidated. So anyone off the beaten path is going to come in at low ownership, and it could just be, hey, we're going back to him today. So fine with some of these run backs, but definitely like the Browns today.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting point was just brought up by our guy there about Ben again, just saying Minshew's been so bad. Both these Ds, by the way, in play too, because this game really reminds me. I'll get to you can go that one in a second, but I just want to say Minnesota, Chicago that week. Everyone liked Chicago. It ended up being Minnesota. The New Orleans, New England week. Everyone liked New England. Ended up being New Orleans. I think here you could see one of these defenses pop up. Go ahead, Hoop, and then after this, take us into your Super Bowl champion of this season, upcoming Lions versus my favorite team, the Baltimore Ravens. We can talk about that one.
Yeah, our guy, I made the comment that people are already locked in. We got our guy Timothy sitting on the crapper building his team. So I think there's there's not much in between. Either you're early in the week sort of guy building out your lineups, or you're, hey, I woke up Sunday morning, I'm taking a dump, and I'm gonna start building my teams. And Timothy is clearly in the latter of those two.
And I like that he called building ripping, so he put shitter and ripping together for the extra double effect.
So good.
He's not on the shitter building lineups; he's on the shitter ripping lineups. So we'll see. Talk to us though. We got Detroit and Baltimore almost at 300 likes. Obviously, the next giveaway we talked about almost 700 watching. We appreciate all you guys being here with us. Another fun Sunday ahead at the Nation. But Hoop, Detroit and Baltimore. So how is Baltimore favored? I will say this: they're my team, and I love them. But I keep making fun of Detroit, but they're actually a good team. Like I just said, I don't think they're going to do anything when we get to the playoffs. And it's at least interesting. But home field advantage, Baltimore much better at home, and typically does play to their competition, which this is a good team that they're up against.
I was kind of surprised. I thought it would be maybe a pick 'em or something. But the Ravens favored by 3 in the spot. The Lions have been playing phenomenally all season long. I mean, appear to be one of the better teams in football, despite the shade that our host here continues to throw their way. In terms of fantasy,
one of the playoffs, baby, we'll get there.
Well, they might have the bye, so it could be round 2.
Yes, correct.
I like this game, and I'm starting to like it more as the week kind of went on, and so is Vegas. The total has, I believe, come up a little bit, Tambo. I know you monitor that stuff. I'm not sure if that's a true fact, but it seems like it's come up a little bit, approaching like 44. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I talked about him. I mean, just even in like the ugly spots, like last week, no one was on him against Tampa Bay. Our guy D-Dry played him at low ownership, and he puts up like a 30 spot. Like he's just got upside regardless of matchup, the way he runs his routes. And there's wind here. And, I guess another part of the reason I like this game, there is wind here, but it shouldn't affect really either side. Like no one's doing the deep downfield stuff. Amon-Ra St. Brown is, all small, little short sort of things. He's 8K. He can get there in just such a variety of different ways. You have Laporta, short, intermediate stuff. Gibbs, short little dump off. So I like this game, like the Lions side. And then on the Ravens side, Lamar Jackson, 8K on FanDuel. We talked about it on the cash show, just a clear kind of play over there. But the more I started thinking about it, I mean, I'm kind of going to be on these, expensive quarterbacks a little bit more because of ownership. Like he's coming in at single digit ownership too. And there's just not much scoring on the slate, I don't think. And man, a 25 spot from him could be good enough. You have direct, clear guys that he's going to now. Zay Flowers, they're building that repertoire and they're forcing it to him. They're trying very actively to get him involved. Mark Andrews kind of in between Kelsey and the cheap guys. I'm in on that. And you don't really need to play anything else, to be honest with you, on that Ravens side. It can be Lamar, it can be Flowers, and it can be Andrews. On the Lions side, it's Amon-Ra, it's Laporta, and Gibbs. So I'm liking this game a little bit more. And like I said, as the week's gone on, I've liked it a little bit more each day, and I'm going to be on it in a big way today. Yeah, Lamar, in terms of winning football games, agree. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to win a Super Bowl. I don't think he's a guy that's valuable for actually winning games, but we're playing fantasy football here, and he can score 2 touchdowns running it in. And I like, 40. I agree. I mean, I agree with what Smarty says. Like, this is a slate where a lot of quarterbacks, even the cheap quarterbacks, could potentially bust. If Lamar goes out there and has a vintage game, and we saw it a couple times last season when no one was on him, he just dusted the fucking slate. Could see it happening today. And it sucks to say that because it's against my Lions, and I like the Lions. So hopefully the Lions still win if he does that.
Yeah, stop
yeah,
the hate.
MVP, that's fine, but it doesn't matter when it comes to, like, what does he want? He hasn't won shit. Like, it's statistical MVP.
He won the MVP. He did win shit. Exactly. But let's see this here. Let me just take this down a notch here. We're getting too excited. I'm going to come to you on this one, Title, but I do want to bring up at this moment our stack rankings. Let's go top 5. Let people see it.
He can clearly win games. He can win games, but he can't win games that matter. He can win the regular season games, not the playoff games.
Okay, Jared Goff. We'll see you in round 1 or 2. We'll see if we can win these games. Let's see.
Hey, if you got a team here in the playoffs and you can choose your quarterback, who would you take Lamar over Jared Goff? Because I've definitely taken Goff.
I would still take Lamar.
Oh.
But today, this is a good game. I will say back to this, and I'll get to the stack ratings. The one point you brought up that I actually love is about people that are considering wind in this game when there's like no reason to even worry about that. Nothing these guys do is about wind. Like you said, the short chop passes, the design plays when they do them to Zay Flowers are quick and easy, and then he does the work with the ball in hand. Amon-Ra, you mentioned it, Sun God just gets it and goes. Like all the stuff that we could see here, I think is fine. And Marvin Jones out, by the way, too. Not that he's done anything, but just to shorten the track a little bit more on the other side. I mean, you can build out the Goff side too, but just to note, guys, here's the stack rankings. For those that don't know what these are, I see other stack rankings out there. It's like Allen Diggs. It's Lamar Andrews. Like, no shit. Those guys are going to be the ones that pop in the top when you're taking just raw projections. These are value-based stack rankings. At least 4 or 5 out of the 6 that we've been talking about the weeks on the review show, there's been definite good stuff within these. And if you look this week, we got Love, Musgrave, Dobbs. We'll get to the Geno game with the Russell Wilson spot later. We've got Deshaun, who we already talked about. And then Lamar Jackson Title is the one that pops up here. So I'll let you take it away. I know on FanDuel, very easy to get to Lamar. Pricing just seems bad over there, like usual soft, I should say, where you can get to him pretty easily. But talk to me about this game, where you see it coming from, and then we'll get to this afternoon slate to round things out.
Yeah, it's one of the best games on the slate. I'd have a lot of interest because both teams, where like David Montgomery's out, so Gibbs is already a very strong play. Amon-Ra is a complete stud. You know that. 2 of the better tight ends in the league, Laporta and Mark Andrews, 2 of my favorite tight ends on this slate in this game too. So I'll be playing plenty of them. I don't like the Goff side in terms of stacking. I love the Lamar side, just the upside with his legs. Zay Flowers there as well. Aguilar's been their number 2, so I don't think if you're playing Lamar and then you can pick one of Andrews or Zay and you throw in Aguilar for very cheap, very low owned, I think that's fine. OBJ too, he's mixing in as a third. I think he's also fine, larger field stuff. But I mean, I love Zay Flowers, I love Andrews, I love Lamar, I love Amon-Ra St. Brown, I love Sam Laporta, and Gibbs as well. So if there's 3 guys on each team I will be loading up on, and that's why Lamar at 7.6K, he's my favorite spend up quarterback just because it's only Andrews, Flowers, and if you want to mix in the third receiver, and he always has that rushing upside. that I'm a sucker for, man. If you can go 70 yards and break the 70-yard rushing touchdown and break the slate in quarter one, something I'll sign up for. So on a slate that's gross, I hope Lamar hits the ceiling. Very easy pass catchers to pair him with. Very easy run backs. Amon-Ra, Gibbs, Laporta. Love this game. And I also think it's fine if you just single stack on both sides. I don't even think it's crazy if you go Gibbs, Laporta, and then just one Raven on the other side, something like that. Only a 10-game slate, not the 12, 13 we've had earlier. So, yeah, I like this game a lot.
Yeah, lots of things you can do with it. Our guy, Steven Neighbors, appreciate you watching, as always, says, I thought this. They both have similar, what you would call quote-unquote issues. What we brought up earlier was around some of those Giants wide receivers. If people want to play Hyatt and Slayton, they will require it to get there. Sometimes wind will affect that. I don't really pay attention too much, but 15 to 20 mile per hour, gusts up to 25 to 30 in these two games. I just think, like Hoop said, made a great point there on this game where you kind of don't really have to worry about it. While I'm here, before I go to the next one, guys, going to pull this up quickly. We said the next giveaway will be for a member at 350. We're just 38 likes away from that. So hit that like button while we're doing this stuff. But if you want to become a member, the last giveaway is going to go to somebody random who signed up. And I'm already responding to emails as we go through. I had an annual just pop through as well. So just so you guys know, if you want to sign up, you just go to shipitnation.com, join the nation, hit that, and you go to whatever plan you choose, hit the code MAYO, gets you 10% off when you sign up there. So we'll get out of this screen, go off the sharing for now. Hoop, next game up, we're getting these afternoon games here. Hopefully get to those 350, give away the 100 to a member after this game. But Pittsburgh, LA, 44 total. So now we're starting to ramp up. The afternoon I'm seeing right now is this one's 44. Arizona, Seattle's around 44.5, 48 for the Chiefs and for the Chargers game, and then around 45 for Green Bay, Denver. But give me your thoughts on this first one. We got Steelers in LA playing against the Rams.
Yeah, Steelers side are just it's just going to be tough. I mean, it's just not a fantasy friendly team. And Najee Harris sucks. Their quarterback's not very good. I think you can play in tournaments, maybe a little bit of Jalen Warren. Maybe eventually they realize, all right, this Najee thing's not working out. Let's turn it all over to Jalen Warren and see what happens. But man, it's just not a good team for fantasy. On the Rams side, it looked like it was going to be Zach Evans all week, and now it looks like it's going to be Royce Freeman and Darrell Henderson. Henderson's not on the slate. Freeman is 4K on DK. We've seen this in the past where random Rams running backs get all the work. I'm going to play some Freeman. You can't play Henderson. I will play some Freeman at 4K flat if they get a lead and he's just the guy. I want to be on him, so 4K goes a long way. Cooper Kupp, phenomenal play. We've talked about it on all the shows. Like, man, he's just back. He looks great. He's fun for fantasy. He is expensive at 9.5K, but we don't have the spends. Puka should be pretty low owned, 7,600. People don't want to pay that price tag with Kupp back in there. I think he's a fine option. You have Higbee. And then Matthew Stafford, not fully decided what I'm going to do with Stafford today, to be honest with you. He's one of the last guys that I'm kind of deciding on. I'm not playing Zach Evans. Someone asked that question, like, man, the negative comments, like, it doesn't sound like they want to give him any work. I definitely prefer Freeman over Evans. But yeah, Kupp for sure stands out. I guess overall, I don't love this game, to be honest with you. Kupp for sure. That's the only guy I feel really, really good about. So not much now that I talked through it.
One thing, Hoop, and then I'll go to title on it, because it's not a bunch here either, but the Kenny Pickett side, I guess, is somewhat interesting for those asking, because it was earlier. He was up the stack rankings quite a bit. I'll give you another one. Like, he's up there still. He just didn't fit in the top 5. So if you do want to stack that side of the game up, you could. But we had a call yesterday. We won't divulge details of some exciting stuff possibly coming to the nation sooner than later. And said person on the call, Hoop, you had to jump off because you had some stuff going on, but he actually had a play for us for the slate, and he said Najee Harris was popping up in some of the stuff. So you're on mute, but just to say it, he was, if you look at your take of Warren versus Harris, I agree with you, but
can't do that.
The attempts are still there. So $5,200 Najee Harris could be the guy. I'll say it.
That's like the
Najee gets in the box, at least the anytime.
Oh Lord. Man, where's our guy on the toilet? Can you flush that down? Can you flush that down the shitter with your turd, please?
Where was it? Somebody said it too. Said, is he hand building? Our guy better have a squatty potty. I wanted to bring this one up. If you don't know what that is, well, he's talking about Circulation Nation. because if you don't got a squatty potty to get them legs up, it's not really healthy for you when you're on the toilet. So I'm not endorsed by squatty potty, but I do have one and I recommend it. It's definitely a clutch thing to have for those shitter builds. So title, go to you, Pittsburgh, LA. What do we got in this one?
It's like we're talking a showdown game. Like you have to play Najee, you have to play Warren. You don't got to play any of these clowns on a 10-game slate.
Right,
that's what I plan to do. Cup, Puka, really the only two I care about. Deontay's back in the mix for the Steelers, which helps Pickett, but also now just there's more mouths to feed. You just have to get it right. It'll be spread out more. Cup, Puka. Don't worry about the running back room. Henderson, Freeman, Sean Tuck, all these guys are going to get mixed and matched in, I think. Najee, Warren going to be mixed and matched. It's a tough game. But yeah, Cup's getting the ball and Puka's getting the ball. So those are the two I'll put.
Yeah, they're definitely getting the ball. And that someone brought up, I had it in the tidbits this week, the Nakua stuff. I mean, he's almost 2,000 cheaper, and he's still getting a lot of the looks, a lot of the stuff that you see, some of the newer stats out, like first read data and stuff like that, definitely has it in there where he's still a guy that Stafford is looking at. Mayo and I tried to build it. I did not like these builds. I was honest with them. But like when you tried to go, Stafford, Kupp, and Nakua, it's like even if you had a cheap run back, it just gets really tough at that point. You need them to do so much. I prefer pick your poison on those guys, and then I'll be okay with it. Like Hoop said, he wasn't sure, and that's I know why it's like hard to pick because Stafford's kind of like in that middle between. But if you go Stafford and one, I think you're fine. Darnell Washington on FanDuel, I know he's cheap on DraftKings too, 2,500. If they get him in the mix, I know people like Connor Hayward if they were making a choice, not like anybody's on either of these guys, but just to note with no Freiermuth, him hitting the IR was just another thought. Anything else you want to talk about on this one, Hoop? If not, you can take us into Arizona, Seattle. This should be a popular spot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of, I'd say, the premier offense on the slate. The Seahawks, a lot of people are going to be on them. Their biggest team total sitting at 26.5. It's a good spot at home against the Cardinals. And then you throw in the fact that we have potential injury situation. DK Metcalf, I guess, is really the only questionable guy on the slate that we don't really know his status for the game. And then if he's out, it's like a huge boost to Lockett and JSN. But we're not going to have the news. They've already said basically we're not going to have this news until the 2:30 Eastern inactives hit. So you kind of, if you're single enter, if you're just building one team, this is definitely a situation to monitor. If you're doing 150, you might have to make some swaps. But either way, I like Lockett and JSN, and I'm going to have a lot of them regardless of the Metcalf situation. It does sound like it could be a legitimate issue with Metcalf, so something to monitor. Kenneth Walker, jumping off the page is a good play. He's going to be very popular. I personally think it's one of those situations where you just, eat it and play him. He's in a phenomenal spot at home as an 8-point favorite. So you're going to want to be in on him. And then Geno Smith as well. Good spot for Geno. If Metcalf is out, like Noah Fant would get a little boost. Like all these pass catchers would become more viable, and the entire offense, even Kenneth Walker has the potential for a couple more targets going his way. So yeah, in on the Seahawks in a big way. They will have ownership, but man, it's just one of the better spots for sure. Clear run backs, or a clear run back on the other side is Marquise Brown. He's been phenomenal. 10 targets in 4 of his last 5 games. Zach Ertz, McBride starting to, here's the call title. McBride.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yes. Trey McBride. He's getting more
Friday
involved.
Too. I should have known.
Yep. He's getting more involved in this offense. Just wanted to pull this up a little bit. Yeah, this is definitely the call. It's Trey McBride. He last game 5 targets, 3 targets the week before. Just getting more involved in this offense, and he's only 2,600. Obviously, Ertz is in play too. Ertz is fine. Oh, just like that. Title hated it so much he just shut off his camera and disappeared. Wow, that's either a good thing or bad thing for Mr. McBride. Like one of the two. I don't know what it is. But yeah, Brown, Ertz, and McBride on the Cardinal side.
And yes, I like this call too. I'm in on Brown. I'm in on all the guys in this game, so I'll keep it at that. But this is definitely the one I was looking at. No, it wasn't that one. It was, who was it there? Somebody said, yeah, Rondale Moore, the Detox 5. Shout out to you. Said good low and pivot. I think so. I think people, anyway, I like the McBride call too. Definitely in on that. I like JSN. Even if DK plays in this game, I still like Lockett and JSN, and I still like Geno and all these spots here. I also think you can leverage. You can leverage Walker by going the Geno side and doing it that way. You can play Walker with Dobbs stacks as a way to do it a little bit differently. If you want to run out that stack with Dobbs, someone of the, like a Marquise Brown, probably, if I'm going McBride. I don't need probably Rondale Moore and McBride. I might get some within the mix as I'm building out MME, but just to say it, that's another way to do it different. But I won my live final seat to New Orleans last year playing a Geno, Walker, Metcalf lineup. So, there's some stats out there and people say, oh, Walker doesn't have good games with Metcalf. The sample size is like 2 or 3 games. Like when Walker had big games, all this stuff. It's slate dependent, year dependent, everything that goes with it. So Title, give us your thoughts on this game, but I think you could definitely play Walker with Geno as another way to get different with him where most will be leveraging him.
Yeah, no, I agree. So people saying like, I can't play Walker at this ownership. Fine, I guess. But I mean, just no Charbonnet back there as well. Great matchup, favorites. Like it sets up to be a great spot. FanDuel. So if you don't want to play him because of ownership, head over to FanDuel. He'll be lower owned for sure. I'm not going to say single digits because I don't think that's the case, but his price much higher over there. And you get an ownership discount. So great play. No doubt about that. Lockett and JSN, I'm going to be bumping them, hoping. DK isn't going to play. Again, late swap. There are good late swap games to mess around with in the afternoon. Monitor that news will be in Discord. Our projections will be updated. But yeah, I mean, JSN and Lockett are going to project much better if DK isn't playing because DK is projected right now. So I'm going to be bumping them, hoping he sits. I like Geno too. The thing that, like, if DK plays, it's harder for me to play Geno, and it probably sounds counterintuitive, but there's just more mouths that he, like, I don't want, if DK plays, I still don't even want to play DK really. And then when Geno throws that touchdown to DK, I have JSN and Lockett, and it's just harder to get the stone nuts. So a less concentrated receiver room is how I like playing my quarterbacks. So I actually want DK to be out, and then I can just load Lockett, JSN even more with Geno stacks. But on the other side, Hollywood Brown, yeah, great price. Tough matchup. They got some dogs out there in the Seattle secondary, Witherspoon and stuff. Again, I don't look into too much of that stuff. I like the price. I like the usage. I like the air yards for Hollywood Brown, but he is the only guy in Seattle, good secondary. So I do think they'll try and key on him a bit. Trey McBride, all right, who maybe I'll get a share or two for you in the millie or something like that. But outside of that,
get him in.
I don't really, yeah, I'm going to play a couple lineups just because of that hoop call. He's been on fire for me now too. Other than that, though, yeah, don't really like Cardinal side. Hollywood's the best play. Walker, Lockett, JSN, Geno, hoping DK's out.
Yeah, and I did note, I got to shout out my guy Jimmy. He said, you said giveaway after that game. I said 350 likes and over 700 watching. We can take the moment of silence here. Just go take your 2 seconds. All you got to do is hit that thumbs up. It's free to do. It's easy to do. It just helps us out, really. That's kind of the added bonus. We're doing all our shows for free. You can go click that button at any time. It just takes 2 seconds. Do it now. When we get to 350, we give away $100 to a member. If we get to 500, we double up on the last one. So if everybody just scrambles and starts finding multiple devices, clicking it, doing everything that you got to do to hit that like button, that's the way to do it. But help us out there. 15 away, like they said, we're going to get to it. So probably after this game, we'll have the member giveaway. And then we're for sure, no matter what, giving away 100 at the end. We've had a lot of new members come in. Another one just stumbled in. Shout out to Brian. So appreciate you guys. But Hoop, I'll go to you.
Hold on, Demo. One last thing. I want to hear your answer on this. My answer would be afternoon only, not really needed for Maine. What about you?
Bobo the Clown. No need.
Bobo or Boban? Who are you more likely to play?
Boban, probably. Yeah, I can't wait for NBA. Can't wait for NBA.
Yeah. Right,
anything else on that, Hoop? You got anything you want to add?
I guess I don't mind it. Like if you're stacking if you have Geno teams, like to get some exposure to him, I don't think it's the worst play in the world. But make sure you have pivots ready because if Metcalf's in, he's done. So if Metcalf's out, I don't think it's the worst play in the millie, especially if you're stacking Geno. I wouldn't play him as like a one-off or anything, but on Geno teams, I don't think it's the worst play.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk this second last game. We got Chargers, Chiefs. One more after that, and then the giveaway stuff. So we'll go a little longer today, but that's okay. It's been a good slate to talk through, and it's a tougher slate. I think a lot of people want to know the angles, so I'm excited about it. What's your thoughts on this one? Chargers, Chiefs, and the Mahomes conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm throwing him into that mix with those other quarterbacks where it's like, man, like no one, he will get more ownership, I think, than the other two. Let me say that first off. Like Lamar and Josh Allen, he will get more ownership. I think I maybe like him third if I'm kind of ranking all those quarterbacks just because of the ownership. And what we've been talking about, like on this show, every single Chiefs game, Chiefs slate, where said it on that showdown slate. They're fine winning a 20-13 type game. And actually, it was very close to that score when it was all said and done. They're fine taking those W's that way. And it just is, it's not great for fantasy purposes. Yes, I'm going to play Mahomes. Yes, I'm going to play Kelsey. Yes, I'll probably have some Rice. But that's just because the slate is pretty nasty from a fantasy perspective. My favorite play on the Chiefs side is definitely Pacheco. They're getting him more involved in the passing game, 6 targets last game. If you think, again, like I'm thinking, where the Chiefs will win these nasty, ugly, grinded out type games, that's perfect for a guy like Pacheco. So I really like him. I also really like the Chiefs defense. I know they're cheap. I know they're going to get some ownership, but I think this is a legitimate good defense. And again, if you're playing that narrative where they're fine to win these nasty games, like defense has to be a good play. So I really like Chiefs defense, Pacheco. Going to play Mahomes, going to play Kelsey, Rice, and Kadarius Toney. I don't hate, we saw him finally get in the box. He's only 3,800, but again, that would be on those sort of teams, on those Mahomes quarterback teams, Mahomes stack teams, that where I'd go Toney. Then on the Chargers side, I don't love the Chargers. I like the Chiefs defense here. I think this is a spot where the Chiefs could potentially just pound the Chargers. I mean, just an underperforming team constantly, just a team that just consistently underperforms. Herbert, missed Keenan Allen on 2 really big plays on that showdown slate. Keenan Allen is wide open, just got to float it in there and just whiffs on him. So I'm not thrilled with the Chargers here. Keenan Allen's always fine, though. I'll say that for sure. Even if I don't like the Chargers, I'm going to love Keenan Allen. And the thing with Keenan Allen, he was always like a guy, you can only play him on DK because he racks up, all these targets and receptions. He's their number 1 red zone target as well. Besides maybe Parham. Parham might be one, and then it's our guy, Keenan Allen. So definitely like Keenan regardless. Palmer at 4,800 is fine. I don't like Eckler. I don't like what I saw out of him, to be honest. He could not. He's got to get it all with receptions, and I don't know, just not in on him. So it's Keenan, it's Palmer on the Chargers side, Pacheco, my favorite Chiefs guy, Kelsey, Toney, Rice, and kind of where I'm at here.
A lot of guys for sure. And someone in the chat has to let us know I'm surprised there's not a site yet like willtaylorswiftbethere.com, and you can just go find out because they're talking about it so much. Also, Brian drops the hammer on you. If I told y'all that Najee Harris was averaging almost 4 yards per carry and Warren was even lower, y'all would probably have a hard time. So, wow.
Still think he sucks. No hard time for me.
Passing usage though. He talked about that. So
no hard time for me. That's not gonna affect my thoughts. I'll guarantee you that he still sucks.
Yeah. Title, who played out a lot of what I was thinking for this game as well. Obviously we like Pacheco. I think the Palmer thing was, Allen, you could say a lot of things about him missing stuff, but Palmer just got messed around with on that game. He had the touchdown call back. He had a couple of everything that got called back, he caught. So it was all those were legit, but they got called back. People were mad. Butterfingers Gallup couldn't catch a ball. He didn't catch it though. There's nothing to call back. This is the other way. I liked your comment here talking about how overstacking more viable today when you just have to get one thing right and you can do it that way. But I do want to kick this question to you before you go into the game is, if your whole team besides defense is in the afternoon games and there's high scores in the early, you don't have to answer it specifically to this because he's kind of saying he's got everything left. What would you do? I think then you're just sticking with what you got. But talk about late swap a little bit because today is quite a big late swap slate in general.
Yeah, just a general. So if you're looking really good on the early games and you think your team has a chance and all that, if you have a lot of low-owned options and just say you have 2 spots and your 2 guys are really contrarian, you can switch to more higher projected plays and more chalky plays and think about it that way if you're already sitting really good and you think you can ship. Now, if you're saying your team's bad in the early games and you still have a good amount of afternoon pieces, but you're not going to ship at all, you're just trying to play the min cash game, then you might need to swap. Like you see chalk and you might need to swap off Kenneth Walker. If Kenneth Walker is going to be 70% in your contest and you look to be drawn pretty much dead, well, you swap off Kenneth Walker, make some other pieces. Then if Kenneth Walker does bust, you get really low-owned plays to bump it there. So it really depends. After those early games, if you're looking good, you think you can ship, look at other people around you, stuff like that. You can maybe eat more chalk. If you're doing really bad and you're playing a min-cash game, maybe you have to swap off some higher pieces. So, but yeah, always looking today with DK Metcalf injury news and stuff like that. Like the overstack idea.
Our guy Rob is always in here. Appreciate you, but he's following up your thought today. Again, when you have all these low totals and all these quote unquote bad spots, if you want to run 4 or 5 guys from the same game. I mean, Hoop did it to perfection last year, week 4, and got the job done. This is no different. In a spot like this, where you don't feel great about, picking your poison in every different game, just get overweight on one spot. And I'll let you talk on that game in a second, Title, but I got to announce this. Hoop, we found your Millie Maker win caveat. You've been talking all these tight ends up, and you're the tight end whisperer. Hoop's going to win a Millie in week 7. It's National Tight Ends Day today. We found out how you're winning the Millie this week, Hoop. It's always a way for you to get the job done.
Always. We're always searching. Now it just has to get to the finish line, right?
There's the line. Title, we're going to get to this last game, but Chargers, Chiefs, your quick thoughts on that one. Then we'll go to Green Bay, Denver. I'll let you kick that one off too.
Yeah, just the last thing on the overstacking. The less amount of games and the lower the totals, meaning is the more you can overstack, because you see a lot of 40, 41, 42. It just takes one of these 10 games, goes off for 60, 65, and you might need multiple pieces there. We've seen Hoop win a million like that. But as far as this game, I mean, I echo a lot of the same things you guys say. I definitely prefer the Chiefs side. On the Chargers, it's really only Keenan Allen and Palmer, by far the 2 top receivers, getting all the work. Good, very good for their price tags. No issues with there. Some people talking Eckler. You can always play the man. He's a stud. However, I like Saquon. The more I keep talking through it, man, the more I keep thinking about it. It just feels like a Saquon monster game, getting all the touches. So I'll save a little bit with him and so many other good running backs in the mid-tier. Not much Eckler for me. I totally get it, though. He can go out, break a slate at any time as well, low ownership. I like the Chiefs side. Definitely love Kelsey. The price tag at $8K. Feels expensive at tight end, but he's a wide receiver. We always talk about it. $8K as a wide receiver 1, like Kupp's $1,500 more. Diggs is $900 more. Still feels very appropriately priced. Sign me up. For Travis Kelsey, Pacheco, great roll at 6.1K. You mentioned Tony. You mentioned Rice. I'm good with mixing in the Tonys and the Rice. I definitely prefer Kelsey and Pacheco, just because now Hardman's in the mix in this wide receiver room. It wasn't enough before. Let's add in another guy that knows this situation, deep play guy. I think it'll work well for Mahomes, actually. I can see Hardman catching a couple deep ones throughout the year, but just more uncertainty to the receiver room. Rasheed Rice and Tony look to have the best roles, can mix them in. Because I do like some Mahomes stacks. I like Lamar more if I'm spending up at quarterback. I think Mahomes my second favorite spend up QB, though, which is mainly where I'll be mixing in the Tonys and the Rice of the world. But Pacheco, Kelsey, Palmer, Keenan, by far my favorite plays, and you can play them any which way even without a quarterback.
Yeah. Before we do last game, and I will go to you on a title first just a second, but we hit the likes, Hoop. So do you have the member winner, the $100 member winner? While you're grabbing that, the last chance to get 120 more likes into the tank. If not, we'll still give away this 100, but a new member sign up is going to win the last 100 after Hoop does this one. So if you want to get in, go to shipitnation.com. Use promo code MAYO. We got a lot of choices now to go through, but a few that I saw just pop in. So, Hoop, what's the winner of a current member right now that you've got for the $100 right now?
We're going to continue on kind of with the theme of, the commitment to being here every Sunday morning. And it's our guy, Go Birds, in our Discord, 6:45 a.m. So he must be in Title's time zone. I'm up with my TV on, going to be shipping for sure. I better be shipping, LOL. Kind of looks like a little Christmas morning setup. The lights are dim in the living room. He's got it on the TV, got it on the big screen over the fireplace. So our guy Go Birds is going to be the winner there.
All right, congrats to Go Birds. You got the $100. We're getting close to 400 likes. If we get to 500, almost 750 watching last game, we will give away another 200, but at least another 100 is going to be given away to a new member sign up from this morning. Title, I am going to stick with you. Last game, Green Bay, Denver. What are we doing in this one? Love, we saw the stack rankings pop up earlier. Love and Russell Wilson both in the top 5. 45-point total. I do think this is popular for the afternoon, because one interesting point on that previous game was with the 48 total, expensive to stack, hard to pick who you want to stack with besides the Kelseys and those guys, but this game seems very easy. So talk to me about this one. Your Packers, right? Love.
Yeah, love the Packers. Yeah. This game is really giving me fits. So I'm taking into what you guys say about this game a lot. I've gone back and forth. I like the Love side. I like the Russell Wilson side. I like the Russell Wilson side a lot more yesterday. And I don't know, overnight, just thinking Russell Wilson doubles and all this stuff, Packers secondary, okay. It's taken me off a little bit. Why I like Russ is just because the price tag is great at 5,400. Cortland Sutton, 5,200 is underpriced. And then you get Jerry Jeudy at 5,800, which feels a little overpriced, but he's going to be very low owned. He has all that trade stuff going on. But I just know if I play Wilson, I only need Sutton or Jeudy. It's very cheap. You can double spend at receiver. It's what does it get you? If Russ gets me 18 and Sutton gets me 15, I still think you can ship with that on this slate. I would sign up for it. So it's mainly the price and the concentrated receiving core for them. Like Javonte Williams, it's such a mess. McLaughlin back there, P. Ryan back there. It would be Javonte Williams is my favorite. I still don't like it. It's Wilson. Sutton's my favorite. Jeudy would be my second favorite. I do like that passing game for Denver. I like the Green Bay side too, though. Jordan Love, 5,800. Denver defense is absolutely cheeks. You get Christian Watson. Musgrave is going to be the popular one at 3,300. Now, tight end and quarterback ownership always spreads out more than you think. Like it's like, oh, Musgrave by far looks like the best tight end. He might come in, 20%, 18, whatever it may be. It's always lower than you think. So I'm good playing Musgrave. I like throwing him in my Russell Wilson stacks as a run back. However, Christian Watson's the one that I'm calling today. I think it's his game. It only takes one from big play guy. He has the upside. I like Jordan Love, his rushing upside as well. But this price tag, 5,600. He was a third-round best ball pick earlier in the year. We saw what he did last year. It was like 10 touchdowns in 8 games or something crazy like that. I think Watson gets loose with big play upside. He's my favorite Packer. Dobbs, I don't want to mess with the Aaron Jones and the running game back there. So it's Musgrave, Watson mainly. I think Dobbs is fine in Jordan Love stacks. I like the Russell Wilson side more if I had to pick for stacking with Sutton and Jeudy, but Musgrave, Watson, Sutton, Jeudy, Russ, Jordan Love, those are my 6 favorites.
Yeah, and this too, to Brian's point, this is why we keep saying, or at least I keep saying, is if whoever wins, if this is the running back crew that comes through, the 5 or 6 guys that we've mentioned, the 3 that everybody knows, the few secondary ones, if that crew comes through, it's whoever wins the secondary battle of getting the cheap stack right, because it's going to be whether it's your Love with Watson with Musgrave, whether it's your Russ with Sutton with Troutman or Jeudy, whatever it ends up being, Baker with Godwin with Otton, any of those, whoever wins that battle is probably who's going to come through if you need those other guys in your lineup. So that's how you have to think about it. I like I think Jeudy is interesting only because the way you mentioned is if you want to get different with a Musgrave, or if you want to get different in this game, Russ to Sutton may be the popular piece. But if you go Russ, Sutton, Jeudy with the Musgrave, or a guy I like is Aaron Jones, who I love this because we were waiting all week. The Q tag still exists. He's likely to go. I think his ownership is going to be stuck based on the spot that he's in. If he gets to 10%, 12%, it's still low for what he is in this matchup. And if he gets rolling early, that would speed things up to get to this total. That would involve Russ having to cook and chuck a little bit more. It sounds gross and it's ugly because it's Russ. And I know Hoop's about to talk shit about that right now. And it's perfect timing on the segue, but that's really the reasoning for it. And I think a lot of the chat today, I'm seeing everyone's looking for diamond in the roughs. It just go look at the review shows that we have. I don't know, I guess Rashid Shaheed was the only one last week that you kind of needed for our guy D-Dry. The rest of the lineup, pretty sound with how we're setting this thing up. I just think looking at the Hardmans and the Mims and guys like that just gets really tough. The Jaden Reeds, you hit it, great, but you still need to have the rest of the lineup to go with it. So I think that's really tough to make it all work. Hoop, last game of the day, man. Give us your thoughts on this one, and then we'll get us out of here.
Yeah, kind of in lockstep with you. Yes, I think Russell Wilson sucks as a quarterback. There's no denying that. In terms of winning football games, he's been so bad over the course of the last couple of seasons. But for fantasy purposes, he's 5.4K. He's willing to take shots down the field. He'll occasionally run it a little bit. So for fantasy at 5.4, yeah, I'm in. I think he sucks as a real life quarterback. I think Lamar Jackson sucks as a real life quarterback. Still play him in fantasy. In on him. Sutton. I think Judy's a really good tournament play, especially if you're playing Russell Wilson. A lot of people are just going right to Sutton. I like getting some Jeudy as well. Troutman, you could throw in there as a cheap tight end on National Tight End Day. I don't know how much of him I'll get, but I don't want the running backs. I really don't want the running backs on either side, to be honest with you. It's Russell Wilson, Sutton, Jeudy. And then on the Packers side, I agree with the Christian Watson stuff. Love Christian Watson, and I love Musgrave, and I'm going to play some Love as well. I mean, this game has a chance to be pretty high scoring. I can see points being scored. So really, on the same page as you guys here, the quarterbacks, the pass catchers, and the Musgrave at tight end.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I don't know if there's anything else Title, do you have any final thoughts for the slate? We're going to do the final $100 giveaway shortly, Hoop, so you can look at the inbox and figure out any of those guys you want to give, guys or girls, that you want to give that $100 to. But Title, final thoughts on this slate as a whole. Anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
No, it's a tough one. I think it's tough in cash games. I think it's tough in tournaments. Like, if I'm mentioning Brian Hoyer and Baker Mayfield as quarterbacks I'm playing, you know it is a pretty gross week, but it makes it fun. And I saw a comment earlier, like, with gross slate, all this, there's still the same amount of money to be made. Yeah, I mean, any single Sunday, I don't care what teams are on the slate, what totals I see. Prize pools will always be good, and there's no better day than Free Money Sunday. So excited to be strapped into the couch watching some football.
Yeah, the team is the problem. Like you said, this is just, again, it's just a spot for this slate. Not worried about.
I mean, he's not playing well. I mean, like, he's not playing well. Like, whoever said that, that's just not true.
Yeah,
his stats might look fine, but he's not playing well. Like,
I think people are talking about fantasy wise, he can help you get there today, but you need a lot of other people.
Yeah, but he sucks as a real quarterback. We're not going to say Russell. We cannot stand for people saying Russell Wilson is a good quarterback. Okay.
What we can stand for, though, now that I'm on him and I'm happy, is you saying Dak is a complete piece of shit, and then going and shipping with him, because you said you're playing him, but I'm saying if we get that again, I'm in good shape.
Yeah, let's do it again. He still sucks.
We win with him.
Dak still sucks. Like, we all agree with that too, but he made us some cheese. So we like him a little bit more, but we're still going to say he sucks. Title,
we got this question 3 times. I'll let you answer it. Jonnu or Pitts? Flip a coin, but who do you got?
I'll go Pitts, and every time I say Pitts, he always sucks, but it's Pitts.
I would go Pitts too. These slates are dirty, says Katie, but it's going to be funky cash. Definitely cash, like that. Bro. I like funky cash.
I'll take some funky cash for sure.
I like Nick's thoughts too. The Millie Maker, that would be good. A modified Hal stack. We have those. I have those. If it's a Hal day, it could be a good day. So we'll talk about that. Hoop, who do you got? The final thoughts from you, and then the $100 new member winner that signed up early this morning or during the show is where we see most of them.
Yeah. So final thoughts. Yeah. I mean, on paper, it looks ugly. Definitely looks ugly on paper, but a lot of different ways to go, man. Roster construction, you can go a lot of different ways. I'm looking forward to it. Let me hop in here and find, you know what? Here's the comment. I have it here on YouTube. I had it tagged, and it's a guy that tried the 5-day mission. He tried out our 5-day mission. He said he's going to sign up right now. I'm going to hold you to that. It's going to be a little bit cheaper for you. It's going to be a little bit cheaper for you because we're going to give you $100 to go along with signing up for the monthly. So we appreciate your support, Jeremy. And if you haven't signed up yet, though, you have to get in there to get the 100. That's the deal.
Yeah. Shout out to Jeremy. Good to go. No other thoughts from me. So I think, like you said, we'll have it all up on the site. If you guys haven't checked it out, we talk about it plenty, but you can hop over, go to shipitnation.com. Pop in there. Take that comment off for a second quick. I got it tagged here. Just pull it back off. There you go. And then I'm going to pop this over 1 second. Just so that those who want to still get in and know, all the stuff is up right now. But you just go to Join the Nation. When you get there, pick your plan. It's the same listing for everything. If you go on mobile, it obviously lists it vertically. But $69 is you can get in for starters at $69 a month. We'll get to code Mayo in a second. You can get in for $59 or as low as $49 a month. But when you click join now, whatever plan it is that you choose, you just go down to have a coupon, simply type in Mayo, and it is not for the first month only. This locks in. So whatever you lock in at, you get, and it will continue next year. If we added a bunch more stuff related to the content, the tools, the rankings, if we add additional items, we always display that. I'll just go back here quickly because those that have asked. But if you go to Join the Nation, like it says, for example, we don't have an optimizer, but we're partnered with the Solver. So if you go to the Solver and click that, I'll share this tab quickly and go to Optimizer, you can get in their 6-month plan for as little as $39.99 a month for all sports. You can get ours for $323. It works out to like $93 a month. Most sites are charging $120 to $170 a month to get all of the content for all the sports plus an optimizer. We're as low as $93 if you just do it that way using promo code Mayo and the current promotion going on there. So hop in now, all the sports, everything we offer for 10% off, use promo code Mayo. That's going to do it for this one though, guys. For Hoop, for Title, for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.